Hello guys, my name is John Michael E. Reyes and this is the chapter 9 transport layer, and I'm here to discuss the summary or a fast discussion about it. Then let's proceed. Chapter 9 section and objectives, introduction. 9.1 subnetting. Then an IPv4 network describes the purpose of transport layer in managing the transportation of data in end-to-end communication. Then describe the characteristic of TCP and UDP protocols, including port numbers and their uses. Then addressing scheme, explain how TCP session establish and termination process facilitate reliable communication. Then explain how TCP protocol data units are transmitted and acknowledged to guarantee delivery. Then describe the UDP client process to establish communication with a server, compare UDP and TCP. Then after that will be a summary. Then transport layer 9.1. Role of the transport layer: responsible for establishing a temporary communication session between two applications and delivering data between them. Provides connection-oriented data stream support, reliability, flow control, and multiplexing. Transport layer responsibility: track individual conversation because we need to track the individual conversation, because in order to learn the segments and other stuff, you need to track it, segment data, and assemble segment, just like the source address in the destination. It always goes in vice versa. Then identify the applications, conversation multiplexing, segments data into small chunks, then label data chunks according to the conversation. Then transport layer reliability: two protocols provided, TCP and UDP. TCP supports reliability while UDP doesn't. Then transportation of data: TCP supports packet delivery confirmation. There are three basic operations that enable reliable with TCP: numbering and tracking of data, acknowledging and receiving data, retransmitting any acknowledged data after a certain period of time. Then UDP is just like the vice versa as TCP, because UDP is somewhat fast, as you can see here, provides the basic function for delivery data segments between the appropriate application with a very little overhead and data checking. Perfect for applications that don't require reliability, such as streaming and vlogging in lives. Then the right transport layer protocol for the right application is TCP is better for database, web browsers, email clients, and etc. TCP is better for that because they really need the secure delivery for a file. Then UDP is better for, as I've said, streaming, video IP, then live audio, because it may just momentary disrupt your video or show, but still it will resume after that. Then TCP and UDP overview: TCP features establishing a session, reliable delivery, same order delivery, flow control. Then TCP header: TCP is stateful protocol. TCP adds 20 bytes of overhead in the segments. Then as you can see here, these are the segment source, then the destination, sequence number, then acknowledge number, header length, then reserve, control bits, window, checksum, and urgent. It is the part of the TCP. Then TCP and UDP overview: UDP are simple and fast, as I've said earlier. Then UDP header is a stateless protocol. Reliability must be handled by the application. The pieces of communication in UDP are called datagrams. Then UDP adds only 8 bits of overhead. As you can see, in UDP there are no It's just source port, destination ports, length, and checksum. Very different from the TCP. Then TCP and UDP overview. Multiple separate conversation. The transport layers separate send manages multiple communication with different transport requirements. Then different application are sending and receiving data over the network simultaneously. Unique header values allow TCP and UDP to manage this multiple and simultaneous conversation by identifying these applications. Then these unique identifiers are the port numbers. Port numbers usually seen in pairs, source port and destination ports. Then the source port is dynamically chosen by the sender, then the destination port is dynamically identified an application or the server or where the destination would it go or be. Then TCP and socket pairs, the combination of the IP address and source port numbers, or the destination of IP address and the destination port numbers is known as socket. Then the socket is used to identify the server and service being requested by the clients. Then two sockets combine to form a socket pair. Then just like this. Then socket enable multiple process running on a client and multiple connection to a server process to be distinguished from each other. Port number groups, Diana has been created group. Then the well-known ports are 0 to 1023. Then registered port is 1024 to 49151. Then the private and the dynamic port 4952 to 65535 is the private or dynamic ports. Then the netstat command allows the user to see the active connection in a host in here, as you can see in here. And netstat also display process using the connection. Then TCP and UDP. TCP server process, each application process running on the server uses port. Individual server have two services assigned to the same port numbers within the same transport layer. An active server application assigned to a specific port is considered to be open. Any incoming clients request address and other stuff. Then there can be many ports simultaneously on server, one for each active server application. Then TCP ATCP connection is established in 3 steps: initiating client server to communicate session with the server. Then the server acknowledge the client, and the initiating client acknowledge the server client to client communication session. Then TCP session terminal, the FIN TCP or the FIN flag. When the client has no more data to send, it sends the segment to the FIN. Then the server sends an acknowledgement, then the server sends a FIN. Then the client responds with an acknowledge to the FIN server. Then when all segments are been acknowledged, the session is closed. Then the three-way handshake is established and the destination device is presented in network. Verifies the destination device has a service and is accepting requests on the destination port number and initiating clients intend to use. Then inform the destination device that the source client intends to establish a communication session on the port. Then reliability and flow control, the TCP reliability order delivery use segments to use numbers uniquely identify the acknowledge each segment. Then an initial sequence number is randomly chosen. Then the received TCP process buffer the segment data until the data is fully received. Then segments received out and other have been held for later processing. Then the data is delivered to the application layer only when it has been completely received and assembled. Then TCP flow control, window size and acknowledgement, provides a mechanism for flow control. Then flow control ensures the TCP endpoints can receive and process. Then handles flow control by adjusting the rate of data flow between the source and destination for a given session. Then so kasi 16-bit TCP header field called window size. Then number of the bytes of the destination device of ATCP. Then source and destination agree on the initial window size when the TCP session is established. Then TCP endpoint can adjust the window size during the session if necessary. Then TCP flow control, congestion avoidance. Congestion usually result in discarded packet. Then segments trigger the retransmission. Then the source can estimate a certain level of network congestion by looking at the rate of which TCP segments has been sent but not acknowledged. Then can reduce the number of bytes it sends before receiving an acknowledgement upon congestion. Then the source reduce the number of unacknowledged bytes it sends and not the window size. Then the destination is usually unaware of the network congestion and sees no need to suggest a window. Then after that, UDP communication. UDP is low overhead versus reliability, has low overhead than TCP. Connection oriented, does not offer a sophisticated retransmission sequence and flow control mechanism. Applications running UDP can still use reliability. It must be implemented in the application layer. However, UDP is not inferior than UDP datagram reassemblability. UDP reassemble the data inferior which was received, then the application must identify the proper sequence if necessary. UDP-based server applications are also assigned well-known or registered ports. Numbers. Then request received on a specific ports are forwarded to the proper application based on port numbers. Then UDP client process. UDP client server communication is also initiated by a client application. Then so as in here, the destination port is usually well-known or registered port assigned from the server. Then the same source destination pairs and datagrams used in transaction and other stuff. Then application that use TCP, all transport layer related tasks, then frees the application from having managed any of these tasks. And application that use UDP is the live video and multimedia application, simple request and reply application, and application that handles reliability themselves. Then summary is implements an IPv4 addressing scheme to enable end-to-end connectivity in a small medium-sized business network, gives requirements VLSM, explain the consideration of VLSM. Then that's all for today. Thank you for listening and goodbye.